Geordi La Forge, the greatest engineer in Starfleet, is returning to our screens in Star Trek Picard Season 3. The latest trailer showed him looking quite angry at Jean Luc, but why? This is what we're taking a look at in this latest video. Most of the information in this video comes from some of the great Star Trek books that have filled in the gaps between certain events. These events being the feature film Star Trek Nemesis, which was our last TNG adventure until now, the other events being the synth attack on Mars and the destruction of Romulus, finally concluding in Star Trek Picard Season 1. Our favorite next-gen characters have certainly changed over the last 20 years. Look at Dr. Crusher. From clues dropped by Gates McFadden and Sir Patrick Stewart, the pair have not seen each other for quite some time. Therefore, La Forge being angry at Picard might be explained by some of these books. This is a Star Trek Picard Season 3 theory video, and as such, here is your spoiler warning. Welcome to Trek Central. I'm your host, Lieutenant Nick, and yes, I'm new here. Trek Central have beamed me aboard as their latest addition to the presenter team, so you can expect to see me in more upcoming videos and live streams as we warp into Star Trek Picard Season 3. You can find me at the links below and on my Twitch via my username PieceXPiece. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a Star Trek Picard video from Trek Central. Okay, engage! With Picard's final season giving us Commodore Geordi La Forge, yes, you heard me, Commodore, we are in for some great episodes with one of our favorite engineers. Seemingly, he is in charge of a starbase, and when Picard comes a-knocking, he doesn't seem too happy. To theorize why, we have to take a look through Geordi's backstory between when we last saw him and now. This goes back to the Star Trek movie Nemesis. The last time we saw Geordi La Forge was in the year 2379 when he was serving aboard the Sovereign-class USS Enterprise E during the Shinzon Crisis. According to the novel, The Last Best Hope, his story continues while he serves as the chief engineer of the Enterprise E all the way up until 2381. In that very year, news about the Romulan supernova had been intercepted by the Federation, and Picard was chosen to head up the relocation efforts of affected Romulan colonies. This resulted in Jean Luc being promoted to the rank of Admiral, and him leaving the Enterprise to take command of the Odyssey-class USS Verity to oversee relocation efforts. Geordi La Forge volunteers to assist Picard and is put in charge of Utopia Planitia to oversee the construction of relief ships that are needed to be made to relocate billions of people. A big problem Geordi faced in the production of these new ships was that certain components still had to be created with technical expertise by hand, and there was a shortage of engineers capable of this job. Geordi went to the Daystrom Institute and Bruce Maddox to propose creating non-sentient androids using bioneural circuitry to assist in the production of these intricate components. These were the A500 synthetics seen on Utopia Planitia and Mars during the flashbacks in Star Trek Picard, and as you all know, on First Contact Day, April the 5th, 2385, the A500 synthetics on Mars went rogue, seemingly on the orders of the Zhat Vash, a shadowy Romulan cabal who hated synthetics and attacked Mars and Utopia Planitia. This attack killed over 90,000 people and ignited the atmosphere on Mars. Luckily for Geordi La Forge, he was in a shuttle en route to Earth, presumably to celebrate First Contact Day. La Forge developed survivor's guilt from this, knowing that the people he had worked with for the past 4 years were probably dead, yet he was still alive. Upon returning to Earth, La Forge beamed directly to the Daystrom Institute in Okinawa to find Bruce Maddox and learn what had gone wrong. After finding Maddox, Geordi asked him if he was working on other projects while creating the A500s, with Bruce admitting that he was more focused on fractal neuronic cloning to create androids like Data instead of the A500s. Geordi lashed out at Maddox for not focusing on this project and doing his own thing, while the whole of Starfleet had dedicated themselves to this relief mission. So in part, not only does Geordi have survivor's guilt from being one of the only people to survive the attack on Mars, but now he also blames himself for not seeing that Maddox wasn't even focused on the A500 androids, which could have been the reason why they went rogue, though now we know the Zhat Vash hacked them, and Geordi wouldn't have known that at the time. However, just to add, this isn't the only information we know about Geordi from ancillary media, which is Picard canon adjacent. The book, The Dark Veil, ties into Star Trek 2009 and Picard, and gives us a little more information about Geordi La Forge. After an incident with the OG USS Titan and a Romulan ship, Riker contacts Ambassador Spock in 2385. This is after the Federation has canceled their Romulan relocation mission, and Spock puts together his own mission with the Vulcan Science Academy to save the Romulan people. Spock asks Riker if he can put him into contact with Geordi La Forge in order to help each other. From some backstory to Star Trek 2009, Geordi La Forge is the person who helps construct the Jellyfish, the Vulcan Science Academy vessel, which Spock pilots and uses red matter to absorb the Romulan sun-going supernova. So Geordi continues to help out with the Romulan people, despite Jean Luc giving up and retiring to his little chateau in France. So from this backstory, though who knows if Picard Season 3 will honor it, it gives us a really good reason why Geordi is angry with Picard. Picard just left and gave up after the attack on Mars and the Romulan relocation missions being cancelled. He went back to his chateau and didn't even keep in touch with his friends. And Geordi definitely could have needed that considering the grief he was going through. And then Geordi coming back and helping the Romulan people with Spock as best they could with no help from Picard might also cause some issues between the two. However, there is another reason why Geordi might be angry. Where Picard goes, destruction usually follows. Be this throughout TNG and the insane hijinks that the Enterprise D got into, to even the movies with the destruction of the D, the death of Data, and the damage of the USS Enterprise E. Not forgetting all of the people that died during those movies killed by the Borg, Remans, Sona, and more. Geordi, as we know from background information to Season 3, now has 2 daughters, Alondra and Sydney. One of which is played by LeVar Burton's actual daughter, Mika Burton. So Geordi's now a father, with both of his children being seen in these trailers as Starfleet officers. One is even on board the USS Titan A as its helmsman, and another is an engineer working alongside her father, it seems. Not only having Picard rock up to Commodore La Forge's starbase, which might be a ship museum, which we did a video on recently if you want to check that out, but also aboard the Titan A, which has his daughter as its helmsman, makes him worried for both of his daughters' lives. Seeing Picard involve himself in yet another dangerous mission, and being on the same ship as his daughter, makes him angry as a father, and who can blame him? In the final trailer for the final season, Picard says to Geordi, "This is life or death," with Geordi's reply, "It's always life or death. Jean Luc, when has it not been?" in quite an angry tone. So Geordi will at first be angry at Picard, but probably come to understand the threat the season has to offer and decide to help out, not because he wants to, but because it's the right thing to do. We later see Geordi in a conference room with all the TNG cast, which might take place on Geordi's starbase, as you can see a starbase on a terminal behind them, or it could just be in the Titan A's conference room. Another thing we know about this season is that Geordi will come face to face with Lore, which may be yet another reason why Geordi is upset with Picard. Geordi and Data were good friends, and at least during the Next Generation, closer friends than Data and Picard were, though the movies would make Data and Picard very close, which Picard Season 1 would use to jump off. Geordi never got to say goodbye to Data, neither on the Scimitar where Data first blew up to save the Enterprise E and Picard, or during the final events of Season 1 of Picard where Data's memories were finally laid to rest, a finality which Data wanted to finally become human. Would it have been so difficult to tell Geordi about this? Is it a good reason why Geordi may be angry towards Picard? Not even just not being invited, but just not being told by Picard, and instead hearing it through the grapevine or some Starfleet report? Or could the reason why Geordi's upset with Picard be something new that we have no clue about yet? I guess we'll have to wait and find out when Star Trek Picard Season 3 finally comes to our screens. So, do you think that's the reason why Geordi could be angry with Picard? Could there be a reason we missed? You can let us know in the comments below. Star Trek Picard Season 3 will debut on February 16th, 2023 on Paramount Plus in the United States and on CTV Sci-Fi Channel and Crave in Canada. However, the series will be available on Amazon's Prime Video service for most international locations the day after. For coverage of Star Trek Picard Season 3 from reviews, lore, and more, make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on our social media and join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Nick. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends.